So I think that's the reason why you talk about this point on varied practice,
Yeah.
right? Which is very key to building mastery, right?
Hmm.
Can you talk to me about the importance of varied practice? Maybe that's something that's very critical early in your career. You even talk
Yeah.
about, go and join a company that's got, volatility, stressful,
Right.
situations, and that prepares you for, the future. So you even talk about that in the book. So how does varied practice help you build mastery? Because these are things that are not normally told in schools and college. They say, go to the large company,
Yeah.
get into a routine job, get comfortable, and then
Yeah.
your muscle becomes lazy, right? Then you're not able to switch and do things. So I found these very interesting things that you talk in the book. So how does varied practice help build mastery?
Right. So in that there's a chapter I have which I call variability over repetition, and this is a more specific point. So we were talking about this kind of, I'll call it like the portfolio model of skill development, which is not so much a question of how do you learn, but a question of like you're making investments in your own human capital. What is the right like to use a investing metaphor? What's the right way to make those investments? And I tend to think that you're probably better off with some degree of diversification. Not like you learn every single skill, the jack of all trades is the master of none, but that you have a little bit more breadth. So, changing economic conditions, changing opportunities, you're a bit more flexible. This other idea about variable practice is a deeper cognitive science principle that I think like this applies even if you were trying to just be a specialist. So even if you just wanted to be only a chess player, or as I talk about in the book, like only a jazz player, this is very important. And the basic idea is that when we practice things, a tendency is to want to like repeat it until we get it right. So just keep repeating it until you get it right. And there's a whole interesting line of research from called contextual interference, interleaving. Uh, there's a whole bunch of different names where this research has been done with different paradigms, which basically shows that for a lot of skills, if you are able to mix up the practice so that you are practicing different skills that are similar in alternation, in different orders, at a random schedule, it has two effects. One, you tend to learn a little bit more slowly. So this is sort of the obvious reason why we try to favor repetition often, is that it seems like we're making faster progress. But if you average out over all those skills, you tend to be more efficient doing the varied practice than the very consistent or repetitive practice. And this manifests in different ways, but one of the things that I think it really helps with is developing a kind of deeper understanding or deeper flexibility with the skill. So when you continually practice the same skill over and over and over again, you get faster, fluent at it very quickly, like what we were talking about. But what is sort of weakened in that is that because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, the ability to decide whether or not you should use that skill, like is this the situation that calls for it, is relatively under practiced. And so this leads to what some researchers call the paradox of transfer. So transfer is this idea of you learn one skill, does it help you with something else? And what they find is that these varied practice schedules tend to make learning slower. They tend to make, if you're trying to get good at one particular thing, it makes it a bit slower, but it tends to make your ability to learn new things better. And so I think this is a very interesting idea. Obviously, there's limitations to it. I don't want to suggest that, you learn 10 different subjects is going to make you learn subject 11 a lot faster. That's not, I think, what's particularly shown by the research. But it does show that if you are in environments where you are practiced in a varied way, you're able to pick up new cases, new problems, new skills within the discipline more quickly. And I think that's very important for mastery, where, in a lot of our professional fields, it's not about being able to, punch out a widget a tenth of a second faster. It's about encountering a new situation and resolving it appropriately.